If you carefully observe any group of men trying to impress, you'll inevitably see the same recurring scene. Each one is in a state of constant competition and unspoken performance. One ostentatiously flaunts his trendy new phone, showcasing the latest tech. Another enthusiastically discusses his car, highlighting its merits. Still another proudly demonstrates his physical achievements, recounting how much he can bench press. All of them, without exception, are engaged in an invisible struggle for the title of the most interesting and remarkable person in that company. However, then your gaze involuntarily falls upon a different character. This is a man who, leaning back in his chair with his arms crossed, remains silent. While the others bustle about like circus performers, he merely observes, calm, composed, and full of serenity. And here lies the most intriguing detail of this observation. The person whose favor and attention everyone else is so diligently trying to win constantly glances at him, not at the loud performers, not at the braggarts, but at the one who stays in the shadows, maintaining silence. Why? The answer lies in the fact that this man possesses something that others do not. It's something that cannot be imitated, bought with money, or mastered overnight. In the modern world, such a quality is so rare that it instantly sets him apart from the crowd of other men in the room. This unique trait has absolutely nothing to do with financial well-being, physical attractiveness, social status, or professional success. Yet it holds far greater power than all these factors combined. The vast majority of men never develop this quality, because they are too absorbed in the pursuit of material possessions and external validation, too busy trying to be noticed instead of understanding the art of being respected. But once a person grasps the essence of this quality, once he manages to develop it, his entire life will undergo a radical transformation. What this composed man possessed, the ancient Romans called gravitas. This is nothing less than the ability to naturally command respect without demanding it. It's the skill to influence others without trying to control them. It's the capacity to lead without needing numerous followers. This was deeply understood by every emperor, every king, every truly powerful person throughout humanity's long history. It's a secret that weak men never grasp, for they are too absorbed in the meaningless noise of everyday life to truly appreciate the mighty power of silence. Society, of course, does not encourage the development of this quality. On the contrary, it often ignores its significance. Yet, it is precisely this quality that defines the fundamental difference between men who are forced to beg for respect and those who receive it naturally, as their due. The great thinker Niccolo Machiavelli, in his works, extensively described leaders who were able to govern entire kingdoms based solely on the power of their presence. He spoke of men who could halt the fiercest disputes without uttering a single word, of those who could inspire unwavering loyalty without making any promises or resorting to manipulation. This was not an act of magic or a stroke of luck. It was a profound understanding of human psychology at its most fundamental levels. Today, we will examine what this remarkable trait represents and how it can be developed. However, it is crucial to understand. It cannot be faked. It's impossible to pretend to possess it. This quality must be cultivated from within, through rigorous discipline and unwavering self-control. His silence is his strength. The first principle to focus on is developing emotional immunity. Many men often resemble ping-pong balls on an emotional arena. Any sharp remark immediately triggers a fit of anger. Criticism instantly sends them into a defensive crouch. Attempts to provoke them succeed every time, disrupting their inner peace. Such predictability makes them vulnerable. They are easy to read, control, and manipulate. However, truly strong individuals choose a different path. They methodically build their emotional defenses, forming an inner shield. They refuse to allow others' words, actions, or even energy to disturb their inner world and tranquility. They remain unshakable, maintaining calmness and clarity of thought, regardless of any external chaos or storm raging around them. As the great Machiavelli once noted, a prince ought to have no other aim or thought, nor select anything else for his study, than war and its rules and discipline. In the context of modern existence, for an individual, this war takes on a different, yet no less significant meaning. It is the incessant battle for absolute emotional self-control. Daily, others will attempt to unbalance him, test his composure, provoke him, and try in every way to elicit a volatile reaction. The main task for such a person is to maintain complete, unperturbed serenity. However, such an approach does not mean becoming a cold or emotionless person. On the contrary, it is the art of conscious choice, precisely which emotions to display, and, just as importantly, when to manifest them. Imagine a situation. At a social event or party, someone makes an insulting remark towards such a person. Instead of immediately becoming defensive, he will pause. He will take a deep breath, maintaining his inner balance. Perhaps a slight, barely perceptible smile might even appear on his face before he gives a measured and calm reply. This calculated, controlled response possesses far greater power than any angry or defensive reaction. It clearly demonstrates to others that this individual cannot be rattled, that he operates on an entirely different, higher level of self-mastery than most. People instinctively respect what is beyond their control. When such a person clearly shows that others' words and actions are powerless to affect his internal emotional state, he is automatically perceived as a figure superior to them in strength of character. The second key aspect to master is the exquisite art of strategic withdrawal. Often, less confident men strive to be constantly available, their presence felt everywhere, relentlessly trying to be an integral part of every dialogue and every event. They mistakenly believe that ubiquitous visibility is synonymous with true significance. However, wise and strong individuals deeply understand the colossal power of strategic absence. They have no need whatsoever to be present at every party or social gathering. They are not required to respond instantly to every incoming message or immediately jump into every group conversation. Sometimes, the most effective and powerful action they can take is precisely their absence from a particular situation or place. Just as the great Machiavelli once cautioned, asserting that men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. When a person is constantly visible, their presence gradually becomes habitual and even commonplace. Conversely, if they are encountered only occasionally, they begin to be perceived as something rarer and, consequently, more valuable. This principle, it seems, manifests in all aspects of human existence. For instance, a friend who is always ready to help and constantly available is often taken for granted. Their presence is not fully appreciated. At the same time, a friend who is selective about how they allocate their time commands more respect and appreciation. A young man who instantly replies to every message might appear overly eager or even desperate, whereas one who takes his time to respond creates the impression of a busy and significant figure. Men possessing inner strength and wisdom deeply understand that it is precisely scarcity and unavailability that create true value. When a person is constantly present everywhere, always gives an immediate response, and is always accessible, he inevitably becomes an ordinary, unremarkable, easily forgotten figure. However, when he consciously chooses the moment for his appearance, those around him begin to pay increased attention. A natural question arises: what is he doing during the times he is not around? And most importantly, when he finally does appear, his presence is valued much more strongly. Consequently, it is essential to master the art of strategic withdrawal. One should leave social events while they are still at their peak of fun and interest. Conversations should be concluded when they are still engaging and haven't yet grown tiresome. In this way, you can make people desire your presence even more, not less. The third principle states, one should utter words only when they genuinely carry specific value. Most men, unfortunately, tend towards excessive verbosity. They try to fill every pause in conversation with all sorts of random thoughts, hastily share their opinions on any matter, and do not hesitate to comment on things that do not concern them at all. They mistakenly believe that the more words spoken, the greater their influence on the interlocutor. However, truly confident men perfectly understand that words are a powerful tool, a kind of weapon. And just as no one would waste valuable weaponry on senseless and foolish squabbles, they will not squander empty speeches. Before uttering anything, a wise person asks themselves 3 key questions. Is this truly necessary to say? Am I the one who should voice this? Is now the most opportune moment for these words? If the answer to even one of these questions is negative, it would be more prudent to remain silent. Machiavelli, as is well known, once declared, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." However, it can be confidently asserted that the first method for estimating the intelligence of an ordinary man is to analyze how much he speaks, compared to how much he is capable of listening. When a person utters fewer words, a series of favorable phenomena occur. Firstly, those around him begin to pay much more attention to his speech when he does decide to express himself. Secondly, it is presumed that his thoughts are more deeply considered and weighed. Thirdly, interlocutors become more willing to share various information with him, as he does not actively compete for airtime in conversation. On the contrary, he creates an atmosphere of trust and attentive listening. Mastering the art of conversation. A man whose speech flows in a continuous stream risks eventually dissolving into the general background noise, his words losing weight and significance. Conversely, one who approaches the moment of speaking selectively, who speaks only occasionally and to the point, instantly captures attention, becoming the object of keen listening. Such an approach does not imply antisocial behavior or rudeness. It's about deliberate, meaningful communication where every word has a purpose. If someone asks for an opinion, it should be given. When a conversation reaches an impasse and requires guiding force, it must be provided. If a person needs advice, it should be offered. However, it is critically important to stop filling every pause simply because it has occurred. One should not share thoughts that carry no value, and certainly not speak merely for the sake of hearing the echo of one's own voice. Fourth point. Perfecting your physical presence. Confident men perfectly understand that the verbal component of communication, that is, the words themselves, constitutes only a negligible 7% of the overall impact. The remaining 93% is attributed to body language, voice intonation, and general physical presence. Most men, unfortunately, are entirely focused solely on the content of their words, completely ignoring how they present themselves. This is a profound misconception. Your posture begins a dialogue even before your mouth opens. Your eye contact conveys a wealth of information long before the first word is uttered. The energy you radiate affects the entire room even before you make any sound. As Machiavelli brilliantly observed, everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you really are. Your physical presence is the first thing people notice. It sets the tone and determines the nature of every subsequent interaction. Stand as if you are the undisputed master of the space you occupy. Do not display arrogance, but it is important to exude calm, unshakable confidence. Keep your shoulders back, your chin level, and your movements deliberate and purposeful. When entering a room, move as if you are in charge, as if it is your domain. Establish eye contact, but avoid a fixed, intrusive gaze. When someone addresses you, turn fully towards the interlocutor. Do not fidget. Do not shift nervously from foot to foot. Do not get distracted by your phone or constantly glance at your watch. These seemingly insignificant details, in fact, carry immense messages. They communicate to others how comfortable you are in your own skin, how much you respect yourself, and whether you expect to be taken seriously. Many men exhibit truly dreadful physical presence, and the reason for this lies in their internal awkwardness and discomfort with themselves. They slouch, avoid direct eye contact, and fidget nervously. Such behavior conveys insecurity far louder than any words. However, when a man masters his physical presence, he transmits confidence even before uttering a single word. Those around him instantly sense his self-assurance and inner strength. Fifth point. Cultivate indifference to results. A significant number of people tend to be excessively attached to the outcomes of their actions. It is vitally important for them that a date goes perfectly, that every conversation is successful, and that those around them invariably like them. This compulsive need, like an invisible aura, emanates from them, repelling those they strive to attract. Truly strong individuals develop a completely different approach. They master the art of caring about what is happening without falling into neediness. They learn to work diligently, avoiding despair, and to desire something without falling apart if their aspirations are not realized. Machiavelli once declared, "Fortune is a woman, and if you wish to keep her under, it is necessary to beat and ill-use her." However, true mastery lies in not feeling the need to conquer her at all. When a person does not desperately chase specific results, he demonstrates better performance and attracts significantly more success. This phenomenon is observed universally, for instance, in the realm of romantic relationships. A man for whom it is critically important that a woman loves him often appears boring and predictable. Conversely, one who genuinely shows interest in her but calmly accepts the absence of mutual affection becomes surprisingly attractive. In social situations, an individual craving everyone's approval often says things that do not align with his true thoughts and laughs at jokes that are not funny at all. A man who is comfortable being himself, regardless of others' reactions, naturally draws people to him. Such an approach does not imply complete indifference. It signifies a deep commitment to doing everything possible, while simultaneously releasing control over what happens next. One must work diligently, and then allow events to unfold naturally. When a person stops demanding that everything follows a strictly defined scenario, things often turn out far better than he could have expected. By ceasing to chase approval, he often receives it in abundance. By relinquishing the desperate pursuit of success, he is much more likely to attain it. Sixth point. Develop inner stability. Weak individuals are like boats without anchors. They drift with whatever current proves strongest. Their mood is entirely dependent on external circumstances. Their confidence fluctuates based on the opinions of other people. Their energy shifts according to what is happening around them. Strong individuals, however, possess something entirely different. They have unshakable inner stability. They remain centered and balanced, regardless of any external storms. Individuals possessing inner strength do not allow external circumstances to dictate their emotional state. Their unshakable confidence stems from deep self-understanding, rather than from seeking the approval of others. Their inner peace does not depend on how flawlessly events unfold. For, as the great thinker Niccolo Machiavelli sagely warned, he who neglects what is done for what ought to be done, sooner effects his ruin than his preservation. This signifies that ignoring current reality in favor of idealized notions leads only to collapse. A person cannot control everything that happens around them, but they are always capable of controlling their own reaction to these events. This fundamental inner stability stems from a clear awareness of one's identity and the values they uphold. When a person firmly adheres to their principles, external shocks cannot break them. When their self-respect is genuine and unshakable, the opinions of other people lose their power over them, becoming something insignificant. To develop this unshakable stability, it is necessary to implement daily practices. Regular physical exercise contributes to strengthening not only the body, but also the spirit. Reading books that challenge established thinking expands the horizons of consciousness. Time spent in solitude allows for a deeper understanding of oneself, one's true desires, and aspirations. Finally, developing skills that grant genuine confidence becomes the cornerstone of this inner pillar. An individual possessing inner stability does not require external approval, for they approve of themselves, relying on their own judgment. They do not need ideal circumstances to find peace, as they are capable of creating it within themselves. They do not need other people to feel complete, for they already sense their own wholeness and self-sufficiency. This inner stability possesses a remarkable attractiveness. People are instinctively drawn to those who maintain composure and calmness even in the midst of a storm. They seek the company of those who appear unshakable in the face of adversity. They feel genuine respect for those who do not require external approval to sustain their own well-being and self-respect. 7. Practice controlled intensity. Most people often display either excessive intensity or a complete lack thereof. They either overexert themselves or don't try at all. They fail to learn how to modulate their energy, adapting it to the specific situation. Strong individuals, on the other hand, master something different: controlled intensity. They can be completely relaxed when the moment calls for it, and intensely focused when immediate action is required. They know precisely when to act as a calm observer, and when it's time to take decisive action. Machiavelli once aptly noted, "A prince, therefore, ought to imitate the fox and the lion. For the lion cannot defend himself from snares, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize snares, and a lion to frighten wolves." Modern individuals must also embody both. calm and discerning when gathering information, and resolute and strong when taking and implementing action. This controlled intensity is essentially a masterful demonstration of one's ability to adapt to various life circumstances. In light, casual conversations, such an individual displays relaxation and ease, without unnecessary tension. However, when important discussions arise, they show deep concentration and full engagement. In crisis situations, they are characterized by calmness, combined with unwavering resolve. They don't waste their energy on trivial or insignificant events, nor do they allow low energy to overshadow crucial moments. Their intensity is always proportionate to the true significance of what's happening, making them incredibly productive as they consistently operate at an optimal energy level. This way, they avoid burnout by not being overly intense in everything, and they don't miss opportunities by not being too relaxed in critical matters. Others consistently respect this quality, as it convincingly demonstrates high emotional intelligence and outstanding self-control. People observe that the individual can flexibly adapt to various conditions while maintaining their authentic self. It's crucial to learn to subtly sense the atmosphere and modulate one's energy output accordingly. One should reserve their inner intensity for moments that truly hold deep significance and remain relaxed when the stakes are low. This harmonious balance is precisely the distinguishing characteristic of self-assured men, setting them apart from the crowd. Thus, something becomes evident that the vast majority of men, unfortunately, overlook throughout their lives. True confidence is by no means the pursuit of being the loudest, brightest, or most charismatic person in any setting. Genuine confidence is an inner, unshakable stability that cannot be disturbed by external influences. It's a kind of emotional immunity that cannot be breached. And finally, it is that controlled intensity, capable of adapting to any situation. This very understanding of power and human nature was masterfully articulated by Machiavelli in his works. This wisdom has been recognized by every truly confident individual throughout human history. A person's genuine strength stems not from external approval or flattery, but from profound inner mastery and self-possession. Starting today, it is crucial to begin the deliberate cultivation of these valuable qualities. One should carefully notice moments when reactions are dictated by emotions rather than by a thoughtful and measured response. Observe how often one speaks instead of listening attentively. And finally, pay close attention to one's physical presence and the energy they bring to various social interactions and situations. A significant portion of men will continue to seek external praise and recognition, tirelessly chasing the approval of others. They will act solely to please others' expectations, showcasing themselves merely to earn validation. Such individuals will remain emotionally like unstable ping-pong balls, constantly oscillating between states of complete confidence and deep insecurity, entirely dependent on shifting external factors and events. However, there is another path available to every individual. One can choose a different course, cultivating that quiet yet profound confidence that inherently commands sincere respect, requiring no effort or insistent declarations. They can acquire an inner strength that influences others without resorting to direct control or dominance. This state does not imply becoming indifferent or unfeeling. On the contrary, it signifies gaining an unshakable resilience of spirit, forming such a robust inner foundation, such an unwavering core, that no external upheavals or circumstances can disturb one's inner peace or throw them off balance. A person's true confidence must originate from their own essence, from the awareness of their true nature, rather than from the evaluations or opinions of others. Inner peace should stem from deep internal stability, not be conditioned by an ideal confluence of external circumstances. True strength must begin with the ability for self-control and self-possession, rather than attempts to control or dominate other people. Those who master these fundamental principles will never again have to seek or chase respect. Respect will come to them naturally, as an inevitable byproduct of the transformation they've undergone. The choice always remains with the individual. One can continue to exist entirely subject to the dictates of external circumstances, or dedicate oneself to developing an inner power that can make them truly unstoppable and invincible. For their inner quiet becomes their true strength. Their unwavering stability turns into their indomitable power, and their controlled intensity is their secret weapon. These qualities should be used with the utmost wisdom and discernment.